3, 2, 1.
Okay, I'm Sam Troshio. I teach 6th grade language arts at Olmsted North, an all-boys school. So if you notice the pronoun he, him, it's because I don't teach girls. So, crash course worksheet making. So raise your hand if you've had trouble with behavior management because your materials were too difficult. I see a lot. Realize mid-lesson that there's a fundamental error in the materials you're using. Have been given useless or boring materials by your school. Yeah, I was very frustrated by this last year. So I decided to start making worksheets. And I don't use smartboards ever, so bear with me, please. Okay, so, but Sam, I'm busy and stressed and I've never done this before. How do you do it? Why? I'm going to explain how to do it. This handout has a step-by-step, and it's kind of a narrative because I don't know how to do handouts without including a narrative, so it's pretty much what I'm saying. But backwards plan. But by that I mean, think about how long activities take. You know your kids, think about, and I mean if you don't know, ask another teacher. How long do you think it would take them to answer 5 multiple choice questions after reading? Study a proficiency test, because while you might not think that they matter, or you do, the wording is weird a lot of the time. And so if they're not familiar with that, then that could be why they're getting things wrong, because they don't know what evaluate and analyze mean. They don't know what delineate means. And so if you study the test, you can get that language in your head, and then go and find engaging, relevant examples. I used Reddit last year. Like, there's all kinds of things that you can use. If you think it's interesting, your kids probably will too. Steal those examples. Make your own questions and slap it together. So that's kind of what I'm going to walk through. So set aside some time. I know that seems impossible, but if you have a couple of hours to just sit down and do these steps, and then I'm going to show you some examples. So this is one, inferencing. How many of us, off the top of our head, could like define this or teach it to a barely literate 11-year-old boy who doesn't want to be there? It's hard. It is a very hard concept to wrap your head around. So you scaffold, okay? Like this is an example of something I modified from 7th grade. Now this, I didn't create this, but eventually I'd like to. I'll show you something I did create, but the learning target. So what's the goal? What's the end game here? They need to know it, right? So look at the picture and answer the question. What do you see in this picture? Okay, anybody can answer that question. What do you see in this picture? There's a flood. People are running from a house. What do you guess is happening? What do you already know that makes you think this? They're inferencing and they don't know it. Okay, so as a class, you're defining inference, and then, okay, well, we have text evidence plus background knowledge equals inference. The math people, if you can make a formula out of language arts, you're doing something right, and it's hard to do. That's why I stole this. So it's raining outside, so those are examples. But then you got this text message, and they're like, what? A text message on a worksheet? They're inferencing. Okay, they inference in life all the time, but you slap a boring reading passage on it, and they don't want to do it. So then Justin Timberlake lyric. We infer when we listen to songs all the time. He doesn't tell us, hey, I dated this girl and she broke my heart. No, it's poetic, right? So, and then you reel them in. Here's a passage, you have to read now. And the more time you go on, it becomes reading and not pictures and text messages. So, whoa, it's time for that. Relax. So, how many of you have used ReadWorks or know what ReadWorks is? Oh my gosh, I want to cry. I only saw second-year teachers. This is the best website on earth. Write it down, readworks.org. It's free. They have interesting articles for every single content area, Common Core aligned with multiple choice questions and short answer questions. Like, it's teacher crack, I think. I think that so, I got this from News ELA, right? If you can see it. So it's called New Lives for Old Buses, and it's interesting because we recycle school buses and send them to the Congo, and they use them for mass transportation. Which is like, I didn't know that, and that's interesting, and all the kids have ridden a school bus, and they're like, why are we reading about Africa and buses, what? So this, now what happened was they took a common formative assessment, okay, and they got the explicit information, like go and find this answer. But the inference, it was so hard. And I was like, how do I assess them again and figure out if they can do this? Like, I feel like they can do this, but how do I do it? So all these questions from News ELA are explicit. They're kind of easy. Reel them in, right? Give them the bait, right? And then I made these questions to go with it. So they got, the two questions they got wrong the most were, what is this paragraph mostly about? What is this whole passage about? And I made multiple choice questions. And it took a little bit of time. It took like an hour maybe. But I saw, okay, they got this wrong on the test, but I know that they could tell me what this is mostly about. So could we do it again? So paragraph 1 mostly about, paragraph 2, paragraph 3. What's the fourth paragraph mostly about? I need to scroll. How do I do that? Here we go. So what is it mostly about? What statement best summarizes the passage? Now, if a kid, which most of them think they're savvy, they're not that savvy. Summarize the text, provide central idea, and 3 supportive details. If they got these right, they could literally just copy them down here in complete sentences and show me, I know how to summarize. And I'm like, awesome, common form of assessment, you didn't do so well, but you could answer these questions that you got wrong on it. And I took a thing that already existed, made some questions, and I have some very valuable data. And there's pictures too, which like, I don't care about pictures because I'm an adult, right? But they do. And so it's cool. That was the thing, but on there. So I know I went through that fast, a little nervous, and I talked fast in general. So questions, because you're probably like, what? She's crazy. This takes more time. I think it takes more time finding engaging materials and that are Common Core aligned. Like being an English teacher, I could teach anything. I could literally have them read anything I want, right? But what do they give me? They give me short stories that a lot of literature is geared toward female interest. And it's poetic and great, but what about a male protagonist? Or what about something that's more explicit and not implicit? It's hard. So I started, what are they interested in? Sports, okay? I don't care much about sports. I'm like her over here, I'm sorry I don't know your name, but I don't care much, especially basketball. Like why am I in Kentucky? I don't care about basketball. But the fact is, I listen and I ask, right? So then I find articles and I give them the key, and like we read about Michael Jordan, and the kids already knew about the flu game or whatever, I didn't. And they told me, and they're like, yeah, you can watch the video. I'm like, if we're good, watch this video. So it creates a way, there's classroom culture, climate, engagement, formative assessment, there's lots of reasons. If you want to do this or have time to do this, you should. If you don't, you will at some point, because Common Core textbooks, I don't know, I think it's a pipe dream. I don't know when that's going to happen. I don't know when I'm going to get something engaging that assesses them accurately and is a unicorn of materials. I don't know when that's going to happen, so I make it. So eventually you will want to make your own materials. And this, you go on to Cascade, download the stuff. There's a ton of resources for every content area. So I can email this to Jan because it's a pain typing in all this stuff, so you can click on it. But if you look in the back, there's math, multi-subject, ELA, reading, social studies, science, ESL. I would start with ReadWorks, truthfully. They have all cross-content. It's interesting. I don't know.
Okay.
We good?